The bone-chilling and shocking facts of the Uvalde, Texas shooting are now coming to the surface. Let's dive into it. Good YouTube, it's Rashad Crenshaw back again with another video. And the Uvalde Police Department and their performance during the Uvalde shooting. I hate to call it that, but let's talk about it let's refer to performance in a technical sense of speaking, right? According to reports, there were 19 officers in the school during the time of the shooting, and they had an hour to kill the shooter and failed to do so. Watch.
Him and ended up killing him. Now, Border Patrol officials have confirmed to me there was a group of what they call a stack, a so-called formation of 4 Border Patrol officers who ended up entering the building, engaging the gunman and killing him. But there are a number of questions about why Moore and other law enforcement, who officials say were on site 4 minutes after the gunman entered the building, why they didn't do more. In fact, I spoke to some residents who live here around the school, one man in particular who shot video from outside the school with residents here yelling at police officers right after the shooting, begging them and pleading with them to go inside and do more after hearing those shots fired. A sense of frustration that you hear in that video. And that man tells me he shot that video between 12:15 and 12:30, which means it was at least 35 minutes after the gunman had entered the building. So there are a number of questions about why law enforcement didn't do more to go in sooner, and if they had, could they have done more to save the lives of those 19 children?
So the commanding officer told them to stand down because in his mind, it was no longer a situation of an active shooter. It was a situation of a barricaded suspect, despite the fact that a little child, a little girl, a child is on the phone with 911 telling them it's 8 of us in this room alive. There are 8 of us left in this room alive. We can only assume that there were children in there bleeding out, dying, or dead. And this child is risking her life communicating to the police, hey, there are 8 of us in this room alive.
The caller identified, I'll not say her name, but she was in room 112, called 911 at 12:03. The duration of the call was 1 minute and 23 seconds. She identified herself and whispered she's in room 112. At 12:10, she called back in room 12, advised there were multiple dead. 12:13, again she called on the phone. Again at 12:16, she called back and said there was 8 to 9 students alive. At 12:19, a 911 call was made, and another person in room 111 called. I will not say her name.
And the police decide in their convenience, we're not going to go in there because, well, we don't believe there's anyone in there that's alive. So you want us to believe, the American people, that 911 dispatchers did not relay this intel to the police that there are people alive inside of the building. It's 2022. You want me to believe that in 2022, information is not being relayed from the people taking these 911 calls to the police in the heat of the moment. This isn't 1999. iPhones, these kids go to school with all kind of phones. They're calling the police saying, hey, there's a shooter in here. There's 8 of us alive. Some of us are dead. Hey, come in here. Help us. It's a new era now. So we know you guys were getting the information that you needed to get on time. And you chose not to go in there because you were terrified of being killed by this mass shooter. The police then lied to Greg Abbott, and he's pissed off about it. Watch.
Yes, I was misled. I am livid about what happened. I was on this very stage 2 days ago, and I was telling the public information that had been told to me in a room just a few yards behind where we're located right now. I wrote down hand notes in detail about what everybody in that room told me in sequential order about what happened. And when I came out here on this stage and told the public what happened, it was a recitation of what people in that room told me, whether it be law enforcement officials or non-law enforcement officials, whatever the case may be. And as everybody has learned, the information that I was given turned out in part to be inaccurate.
So all in all, the police decided not to save the children. Now let's slay the elephant in the room. Let's hunt down the elephant in the room. Let's kill it and skin it and hang it from a fucking. Let's get rid of it. Let's get rid of the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is this: the cops were scared. Let's just call a spade a spade. The cops were scared to go inside the school and eliminate the shooter. And I understand why. In this position, there is a fatal funnel, which means the pathway you need to take from the entrance of the door into the classroom. The shooter, hearing you trying to breach the door, knows you're there. If he wants to, he can wait in a corner, wait for you to come in, and shoot down the first man going in. Here's the problem with that. You knew what you were signing up for when you became a cop, especially in this day and age, especially in this new era of mass shootings and school shootings. You knew there was a chance that this might happen. 19 of you are present. 8 of you can burst into that room while the rest pull security. You set up a perimeter, which you were not supposed to do. But let's just say you were that concerned about a second shooter being in the school. There's 19 of you, more than enough of you to breach the door and go inside and eliminate the shooter. The first man might go down, the second man might go down, but there's more than enough of you to get into the room, take cover, and return fire, while the rest of the people pull security on the outside of the room, and if necessary, join in the fight to eliminate the shooter, if necessary. Instead of taking that risk, the police decided to sit there and wait until Border Patrol came in and killed him. Why was Border Patrol needed for these guys to eliminate the shooter? Someone help me understand what I might be missing here. Why is it the job of Border Patrol to burst into the school and handle a shooter? I don't understand what's going on here. And this is the issue that's happening, where the police are embracing these mentalities and ideas of militarism. They're embracing this dress of militarism. They dress like soldiers. They got the camouflage. They got the multicam. They got the green on. They dress like they're going to go to war until war shows up. That's war. Anyone who's studied and read about battles like Fallujah, this is commonplace. There's someone in the room. You have to go in the room. Your orders are to clear out every house in this city. Your orders from Uncle Sam are to do exactly that. As a cop, your job is to clear out this room. You haven't been sent in to kill some fucking crazy jihadist. There's little kids in there getting shot up. And you decide in your mind, whew, that's inconvenient. That's real inconvenient to go in there and get blasted by that shooter in there. So we're going to just stack right here, 19 of us, and we're not going to go in there and do anything. Our orders are to stay here, so we're going to follow orders. That's the more convenient option for us right now. Meanwhile, the little girl is calling the police over and over and over again over the span of 30 to 40 minutes, informing them, I'm alive. We're alive. There's people in here that are alive. What do the police do? Nothing. They do nothing because it's inconvenient for them to do something, because doing something means someone might die. Someone that's a police officer might die. They chose to prioritize their own lives over the lives of the children in the community. This community, honestly, truthfully, will probably never recover from this. There's always going to be this disdain for the police in that community. What might have been love and respect and appreciation for the police has now morphed into fear, lack of trust, and a lack of respect. Because in a situation where there should have been no doubt that the police would go in and do their job, Border Patrol, which you would expect to be a bunch of crazy, hicks, trying to stop people from coming over the border. Why is it that these guys have to be the ones to come in and take care of the shooter? And blessings to them, praises to them for eliminating the threat. Praise to them. I don't got a problem with them. But why is it that these Border Patrol guys have to be the ones to come in and handle this shooter? There's 19 of you in that school. How is this possible? How? And then you lie to the governor, mislead him, tell him falsehoods, and as time goes on, we realize that you guys have been lying. You sat there and said that you were convinced that there was nobody in there that was alive beside the shooter, and that you were convinced that you were dealing with a barricaded suspect situation, when in the entire time, we all know that's not true, because there's a girl calling 911 telling them she and 8 others are alive inside the room. And yet this information wasn't relayed, because if it was relayed, you look bad, because it means you guys aren't communicating with one another. If it wasn't relayed, you look bad, because it means you guys weren't communicating with one another. If it was relayed, you look bad because you knew people were alive in the room at risk of being exterminated by a crazy shooter, and you still chose not to go inside. Still chose not to go inside. And now the entire country is sat there wondering, what is the solution? What is the solution? I don't want AR-15s to be banned. I love guns. I love AR-15s. I don't want them to be banned. I don't want them to be gotten rid of. I don't want to have to be 25 or 30 to own one like it's some sort of RPG or AT-4 or 240 Bravo. It's an AR-15. It's low on the list of destructive weapons on the battlefield. It's a standard weapon. It's a modification of the M4, M16. It's one of the lowest forms of small arms fire you can get to besides a pistol on the battlefield. I don't think it should be gotten rid of. But it's getting to the point where hey, let's just have the good guys with guns come in and stop the shooter, that argument is falling apart. Because with the Parkland shooting, the cop there decided not to engage. He chose his own safety over the safety of those kids. And now when there's 19 police officers, all geared out, armed to the teeth, they still choose to not engage the suspect and save lives. What is going on in our country? Like, on a serious, what is going on? To where the police choose not to engage and eliminate a shooter when there's 19 of you. 19 children dead, 19 cops refusing to enter the room.